Hello, good morning, friends. Today we're going to discuss the next bit of DNS, that is zone. So let's start with the definition of zone. What is zone and how it works? We will define in this topic. So in this lecture, what is zone? The complete domain name hierarchy cannot be stored on a single server. So it is divided among many servers called zone. The zone is continuous part of the entire tree. The server makes a database called zone file and keep all information for every node under that domain. So what is this meaning? So let's take a simple example. So I want to just highlight what is zone in this. So we have a root, we have .com, we have something mhhe, which is representing don, which is representing zone, and one more thing is showing here in the next dot, that is zone and domain are both same. So how can we differentiate between zone and domain? So why we need actually this zone? So let's take some another diagram. So with this diagram I can explain properly here. So you can see this diagram. So in this diagram, root server is there, ARPA server is there, edu server is there, .com server is there, and US server is there. So what these four servers represents? So these four server represents the zone. So what is this zone? Why we required? See that root server cannot handle all the information in particular one host file or one system. If the main root server damages, the complete information will be get lost. So instead of that, what he did, he divided into the some zones through which it going to maintain the all information in a hierarchy format. So if anything loss also, it can be having an its replication in somewhere else, so from where we can recover the data. So what happens when the client requests its information? So it directly goes to the root server. Suppose I given the www.google.com. So first it will goes to root server. The root server will find that zone, that is nothing but .com server. The .com server will internally find the Google internally finds the www, so through which it will going to request the particular client request and provide its response to it. Okay, so what these four, ARPA server, edu server, .com server, and US server, these are the nothing but zone. So in this we have further divided fhda.edu, bk.edu. So these two are nothing but the domains in that zone. Okay, if fh.edu is further divided in subtree, then it is called as the domain, and further it is also called as the subtrees of that or subdomain of that particular domain. Okay, so only it's a hierarchy because we cannot maintain complete information on a single server. We are just dividing all information into a multiple servers, that is called as a zone, and it is a continuous attachment on a hierarchy of a tree format. So entire hierarchy will be connected one to it. It is not a separated by some dots or something like that. So how it will maintain? The server makes a database called a zone file. So each .com.edu will going to maintain a database. In that maintaining of database, it will going to know that how many domains are there in that particular zone. So it will search in the database, and as per that it will keep on updating the information when the new websites are added to the .com, .edu or .us or any zone files. So in this manner it will going to update its database also under that how many domains are getting new website like that. So this is about the zone. So next is nothing but root server. So what is a root server? I already discussed that a root server is a server whose zone consists of whole tree. So as we already seen here, this is the root tree. So these are the four zones we have discussed. A root server is usually does not store any information about said domains, but it delegates its authority to the other servers, keeping the references to those servers. So I already told that main root server doesn't maintain any information, but it says that what are the authority and what are the power it requires to that particular zone, that powers has been assigned to those zones. So it will going to keep its all information as updated if anything information that is not found directly to that particular domain, so it will come to the request to the main root server. From root server it will assign that particular request of client to that particular different zones, through which it will solve its client request or client query. So there are several root servers, each covering the whole domain namespace. The root servers are distributed all around the world. So similarly, as I said, there are a lot of root servers which are differentiated with the all over the world. So next, what is primary and secondary servers? So the DNS define two types of servers. First one is primary and secondary servers. So first, let us see the what is definition. The primary server is a server that stores a file about the zone for which it is having authority. It is responsible for creating, maintaining, updating the zone file. It store all the zone file on its local disk. So as I already told you that, so we have one .com server. In that .com, how many domains are there, it will going to keep that information in that particular zone file, that is nothing but its database. So if any new website is created, then its created updated domain will be in that zone file. It is maintained and continuously updating the new information which is coming to the primary server. Okay, so primary server is responsible for creating, maintaining and updating the zone files. So what about the secondary server? So secondary server is just that transfer the complete information about the zone from one another servers and store on the local disk. So secondary server will just copy the information, so how many domains are there, and keep in a local disk of that particular secondary server. So whatever the client want to request to particular server, so client will request something called www.google.com, so it will come to the secondary server. It find there if that particular query data is there, so it automatically reply to that particular client request with that IP address of that particular website. If it is not there, then it will goes to the higher DNS server. From there it will going to find that the information, and it will get returned back to the server, the client request. Okay, that is the main difference. So in primary server and secondary server, main difference is that secondary server only keep the updated information from the primary server, and primary server having the authority of creating, updating and maintaining the new domains. What is DNS in the internet? So DNS in the internet, the domain space tree of DNS in the internet is divided into the three different sections. So generic domain, country domain and inverse domain. So as per we can see here, there is a diagram shown in the root is divided into three main categories: inverse domain, generic domain and country domain. So inverse domain is used for finding a name to IP address or IP address to name when we devise in reverse inverse domain. Generic domain is used for commercial purpose or education purpose websites, and country domain depends upon the .in, .us, whatever the websites are there with the each country having their unique two digits, two characters, sorry, not two digits, two characters, .in for India, .us for .us, like that character are represent the country domain. So first we will discuss what is generic domain. So generic domain defines register host according to the generic behavior. So each node in the tree defines a domain which is an index to domain namespace database, and generic domain defines the organization types. So we can see a simple diagram of generic domain from root level to directly that arrow bees.com, commercial, corporation, education, government, info, initialization, military. So all these are nothing but the different types of domains which comes under generic domains. If you want to find out on index to address, so we can show an example .edu how it is chl.atc.fdha fhda.edu. So root level. So this is nothing but generic domain. So it is generally, if I want someone want to design its website, you want to give some name to this particular website name, so we can use google.com like that. We can use just www. Something name with extension .edu.com .in, whatever you want, that you can give that particular name to that particular generic domain. So this is for generic domain. So next is nothing but the country domain. What is country represents? So country represents that representation of your dot country name. So how you will represent that dot? So in India we uses dot in to represent the country. In US, in America we use dot US extension for the country domain. The country domain name section uses two characters to country abbreviations, as I already said that. So uh, so it extension with dot two characters to represent its country domain. So for example, they took msrtc.maharashtra.government.in, which represents the Maharashtra government, but it represents to belongs to India. So similarly, dot if you are to represent the country for the America, then it uses the dot US to represent it. So next, inverse domain. So last is what is inverse domain. So inverse domain is, I said that if you want to find out an IP name of that particular website, so you required to give an IP address, or you can say that a person having with an IP address but you don't know the name of that particular website, so you just has to write what is an IP address of particular site. So by default the DNS server will give the name of that particular website, or it may be a reverse case also. If you have an IP name of that particular website, so internally it will going to give an IP address of that particular website. So similarly, this is called something a query firing the query. So this type of queries are nothing but inverse query or pointer query. So when you fire this to handle the pointer query, the inverse domain is added to the domain namespace with the first level dot called as something called as ARPA, and the second level dot is called as some in dash address. There are two different types of addresses are used to find that particular IP or name of your DNS number. So we required whatever the format is given here, and whenever you write an IP address, suppose I written 192.34.45.121, so it is always represented in the reverse case in the DNS server. So it may be represented in 121.45.34.192. So similarly, an example is given in this root level. So one example what represents ARPA. So dot IDRS 132.34.45.121, but when it read as, it will be in the reverse case. So we shown here example, if an IP address is 132.34.45.121 of class B, it may be represented in the inverse case 121.145.34.132 in address.arpa reverse case. So just we will brief about last finally what is DNS in the internet. There are three different types of DNS in the internet. What is generic domain? It is used for generally for the designing or developing an application for your own and giving a domain name .edu, .com, .in, whatever, etc. That is nothing but generic domain. Country domain represent the two characters to represent your country. So for India, we just use .in. Like that, in inverse domain, used to find your IP address to the name. If you have IP address, you will going to find a name, and if you have a name, you will going to find out the IP address. So for today we will stop here, and for the next lecture we will start with the registers and resolutions. Thank you.